Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Gossips 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The news came in still. There was no fuss about it. Generally when commodity big happens in Los Angeles it's a deal. Not this time. Rebecca Budig was done with her contract. This meant that the part of Steffy Forrester's life that was each about her mama was over. It was really sad. There was no meeting to talk about it. Nothing through a party to say goodbye. There were no cameras taking filmland at Forrester Creations. The woman who was Steffy's anchor, her compass and her strongest protection is really gone. For Steffy, losing this woman doesn't feel like someone just leaving a job or a change in the story. Feels like someone failed. A real death. The kind of death that leaves an empty space in your casket, and a silence that's so quiet it hurts. The silence is so loud that it's veritably hard to deal with. For Steffy, the loss of this woman is like a death that she feels deeply. Steffy was a woman. People who knew Steffy would say that about her. She was the son of important people in the fashion world. Steffy grew up with everyone watching her. Steffy learned how to stand up for what Steffy wanted. Steffy no way gave up when effects got tough. Steffy went through some tough times like divorces and big fights at work and people in her family doing bad effects to her. Steffy indeed dealt with some dishonors that everyone knew about. Nothing could have prepared Steffy for the pain she was feeling now. Losing her mama wasn't about losing someone Steffy loved, it was more than that. She felt really bad about losing the one person who always allowed. She could do it, the one person who was always there to make her feel safe when everything differently sounded to be falling. This person was like a voice that always believed in her. The world can be a crazy place, but with this person around she felt safe. Losing this voice was veritably delicate for her. The morning Steffy got the news, she was by herself in her precipice house looking out at the ocean. The ocean was really enough. She didn't notice. The swells kept hitting the jewels over like they always do. Time just keeps going no matter what. The world doesn't stop, indeed, when commodity bad happens. Steffy's phone kept buzzing with dispatches from people. She works with her family and her musketeers. They all said they were sorry. They tried to say effects that would make her feel more. The effects they said didn't feel real to Steffy. Nothing they said could fill the feeling she had inside her. The dispatches from her associates and family members and musketeers just didn't help. Steffy still felt empty, and the ocean and the swells and the dispatches couldn't change that. Her mama wasn't her mama. Her mama was the person she went to for advice, the person she told all her secrets to, and occasionally the person she felt like she was contending with. Her mama and her didn't always see eye to eye. They had a lot of fights, they dissented on a lot of effects. They hurt each other's passions numerous times. After all the fighting, her mama was always there for her. Her mama had her arms open, was ready to say sorry and keep her safe from everything. Now her mama is. There's no bone to take her place. Her mama is really. Steffy feels lost without her mama. At Forrester Creations, effects felt really different now. People were talking to each other in the hallways. They were being veritably quiet. They were all talking about what happened. Nothing wanted to say commodity they shouldn't say. Steffy was walking around the structure with her head up like she always does. If you looked at her nearly, you could see that commodity wasn't right. Steffy's eyes looked tired. Steffy's smile didn't look real. The way Steffy generally felt confident and strong, like she had a guard around her, now felt like it was importing her down. Rich tried to be for Steffy. He always had been there for Steffy. As Steffy's father, Rich felt Steffy's pain deeply. Indeed, if Rich didn't always know how to express Steffy's pain. Rich flashed back the days of Steffy's nonage when Steffy's mama would hold Steffy in the sanitarium nursery, promising to cover Steffy from every difficulty life could throw Steffy's way. Rich knew he couldn't replace the bond between Steffy and her mama. All Rich could do was stand beside Steffy and let Steffy suffer in Steffy's way. He said to her one autumn, his voice was really soft, that she doesn't have to be strong all the time. They were standing in his office. They could see the whole megacity from there. It's okay to fall, he said. He wanted the woman to know that it's all right to not be strong. The megacity was really beautiful from his office. He told her again it's okay if she falls piecemeal occasionally, because that's what happens to the woman. Steffy didn't respond down. She looked out the window. Her reflection looked back at her like a foreigner. Steffi eventually said. If Steffi stops being strong, Steffi is hysterical. Steffi wouldn't be suitable to pull Steffi together. Her father knew what it was like to be spooked. The Forresters were always supposed to be strong and suitable to handle effects. They had to be tough and in charge. Being sad doesn't work that way. It doesn't. Watch what people suppose of the Forrester family. The Forrester family had a character to uphold. Being sad just happens, like the big swells in the ocean near her house. These swells would hit her when she wasn't ready for them. The ocean was always there. So was her sadness. The Forrester heritage was important. It couldn't stop her from feeling sad. Nights were really tough for Steffi. The house felt huge. It was too quiet. Steffi would sit on the settee with a mask wrapped around her. She'd look at Filmland on her phone. There were Filmland of her family on holiday. There were Filmland of fashion shows. Steffi's mama was in some of these Filmland, standing next to her and looking veritably proud. Steffi's mama had a lot of love in her eyes. Each picture of Steffi and her mama made Steffi suppose about what she was missing. Nights were the hardest for Steffi because she missed her mama. Steffi would look at these Filmland, flash back the good times she had with her mama. She'd frequently close her eyes, suppose about what it would be like to hear her mater's voice. Her mater's voice would be saying effects to help her or to make her feel more, or occasionally to tell her what she was doing wrong. It didn't count what her mater's voice was saying. She just wanted to hear her mater's voice. She'd do anything to hear her mater's voice. Indeed, if her mater's voice was telling her that the choices she was making weren't good, or that the people she was spending time with weren't right for her, her musketeers tried to help her in their ways. Some of her musketeers brought food to her house. Others tried to take her mind off effects. Many of her musketeers just sat with her, didn't say anything, because they knew that occasionally you don't need to talk. Losing someone you love is a veritably hard thing to go through, and her musketeers couldn't make her feel more no matter what they did. Her mama was. That was a veritably big hole in her life that couldn't be filled. Steffi started to wonder about herself. Did she say I love you to her mama times? She allowed. About if she really heeded when her mama demanded her to. She allowed. About if she took her mama being for granted, thinking there would always be further time to talk to her mama. These effects kept bothering Steffi. They just kept playing over and over in her mind like a song that gets wedged. The verity was that their relationship was really complicated. They had times when they weren't veritably close to each other. Occasionally they didn't understand each other. Their pride got in the way. Deep down, Steffi and this person had a veritably strong connection that couldn't be broken. Now Steffi is left with a lot of recollections of their relationship and regrets about what happened. Steffi has recollections and regrets in measure because they didn't get to say farewell or fix effects. Steffi's relationship with this person was special. That's why it's so hard for Steffi to deal with what happened. At her job, she really got into her work, using the company to take her mind off the hurt she was feeling. Effects like meetings about clothes, looking over designs, and making opinions for the company. All these effects helped her avoid the passion she didn't want to deal with. Indeed, on really busy days, commodity would make her feel sad again. It could be a smell that reminded her of someone. An expression that her mama used to say to her. A song that was playing on the radio that she liked. One autumn, Steffi was standing in front of a glass in one of the Forrester showrooms. She looked at her reflection. She saw her mama in her eyes and the way she stood. She indeed saw her mama in the way she moved. For the time since her mama failed, Steffi felt bad and good at the same time. It was a feeling. Her mama wasn't there presently. Steffi could still feel her mama inside her. Steffi felt like her mama was still a part of her. The Forrester showrooms and everything differently was the same, but Steffi wasn't the same without her mama. Steffi was allowing about her mama. She felt pain, but she also felt comfort because she knew that her mama would always be with her. That moment made Steffi understand effects in a way. It didn't make the sadness go down. Changed how she felt about it. Steffi started to feel like she had to do commodity. She had to make her mama proud, not just because she was a Forrester. Because her mama was a woman who loved her family veritably much, fought for them, and no way stopped minding about them. Steffi's mama loved fiercely, fought passionately, and Steffi wanted to be like her mama. A woman who loved fiercely and fought passionately for her family. As the days turned into weeks, the pain didn't hurt much presently, but it was still there. The grief was still there too. It didn't go down, it just changed. Now grief was commodity that Steffi carried with her all the time. It was like a friend that reminded Steffi of the effects she loved and the effects she lost. Steffi had to live with grief. It reminded her of what she had loved and lost. She began to talk about her mama in an open way, telling her children stories about her. She wanted her children to know their grandmother and what their grandmother meant to the family. The woman wanted her children to understand that love for their grandmother didn't stop. Just because she wasn't around presently, the love for the grandmother would change over time. She wanted her children to grow up knowing that the love for their grandmother didn't end when their grandmother was gone. The love for the grandmother evolved. On the anniversary of her mater's departure, Steffi went back to the ocean escarpments where she first heard the news about her mama. The wind was really blowing hard. The sky was a blend of orange and pink colors because the sun was going down. Steffi just stood there and didn't say a word. She let the sound of the swell say everything for Steffi. She said, "I miss you." Her voice was really quiet because of the water. "I'm still then. I'm going to be okay." Steffi felt peaceful for the time since her contract had ended. This was also the time she felt this way since her mama was no longer with her. Her mama was now a memory, not a person she could talk to or see every day. Steffi wasn't feeling peaceful because the hurt had faded. The pain of losing her mama was still there. Steffi had just learned to deal with the pain of losing her mama. She had learned to live with this pain. Steffi had set up a way to be okay with the fact that her mama was a memory now. Life at Forrester Creations went on. New effects, new problems came up. Steffi still felt the effect of her mama not being there. This feeling was always going to be a part of Steffi's life. Every time Steffi made a choice, every time Steffi did commodity well, her mama was still a part of it. Her mama was the bone who helped make Steffi the person she's moment. Steffi's mama had an impact on her. Rebecca Budig leaving was the end of an period. For Steffi it was the launch of commodity new. This new part of her life is about flashing back effects being strong and the strong love of a mama. Rebecca Budig's departure was a deal, but for Steffi it was just the morning of this new chapter in her life, a chapter that's each about flashing back, being flexible and the love of a mama, like Rebecca Budig's character. And indeed, though the cameras had stopped rolling, indeed though the contract had officially ended, the story of Steffi and her mama would no way truly be over. It lived on in every memory, every assignment, and every twinkle that reminded Steffi she was no way truly alone. Steffi allowed. She was eventually getting the hang of breathing, learning how to take effects one step at a time without feeling like the bottom was going to give way under her. The thing about grief is that it doesn't always make sense. Grief comes around when Steffi isn't awaiting it, and it brings back the old hurt, with a new kind of sadness that feels really heavy. One evening after a long day at Forrester Creations, Steffi Forrester Creations went back to her house and set up a little box by her door. The box didn't have any address on it, just Steffi written on the front. Steffi felt bad as she took the box outside. She formerly knew that whatever was in the box would bring up effects that Steffi had tried to forget about Forrester Creations and her life. When Steffi opened the box, she set up a scarf outside. The scarf was really soft. It looked veritably elegant. It was the kind of thing her mama would wear. The scarf still smelled like her mater's incense. The smell wasn't veritably strong. Steffi could still smell it. Steffi held the scarf up to her face. She started crying. She couldn't stop herself from crying. Gashes started running down her face as she allowed about her mama. She flashed back her mama wearing this scarf to a fashion show. Her mama was looking veritably proud of Steffi. Steffi had shown off one of her big fashion designs at the show. The scarf reminded Steffi of her mama. It made her veritably sad. Steffi allowed about her mama wearing the scarf. She cried indeed more. She sat down on the settee, held the scarf really tight. "I wasn't ready," she said, still to the room. "I allowed. I had time to do effects." The scarf was each she had to hold on to now. She kept saying it to herself, "I wasn't ready," because it was the thing that made sense to her at that moment, and she was talking about the scarf and what it meant to her, the scarf that she was holding. The house felt really heavy that night. Every single room was full of recollections. There were prints on the walls and gifts on the shelves. You could still hear the echoes of horse laugh that used to fill the house. Steffi realized that grief isn't about missing Steffi's person. It is about figuring out how to live in a world that keeps going without that person. The world just keeps moving. Steffi had to learn how to move with it without the person she lost. The day she got to the office before utmost people. It was really quiet and calm in the structure. This was ahead all the meetings and deadlines started to get crazy. She walked around the design bottom touching all the fabrics on the shelves. The feeling of the fabrics was commodity she knew well. It made her feel more. Her mama always allowed that being creative could help people feel more. Her mama would say that fashion isn't about the clothes you wear. Fashion is about telling people a story. It's about feeling commodity. Her mama believed that fashion is about emotion. Steffi wanted to tell a story of her own, so she allowed about what she was going to say. Steffi decided that she was ready to partake this story with others. The story that Steffi wanted to tell was veritably important to her. Steffi was agitated to see how people would reply to the story that Steffi had come up with. She came out with a collection that was inspired by strength and loss and adaptability. This was commodity she did for her business. This was commodity that meant a lot to her. Every single color she chose and every single sew and every single figure had a meaning. The design showed how complicated and beautiful it's to deal with grief. They showed the times and the hopeful times and the quiet courage it takes to keep going through strength and loss and adaptability. When the collection debuted, the response was really amazing. Models walked the runway in important fashion designs that sounded to say commodity without saying a word. The followership felt the fashion collection. They didn't just see the fashion collection, they felt emotion from the fashion collection. Steffi stood confidentially. Watched her hands were shaking a little bit. At that moment Steffi wasn't the CEO of her company or a fashion developer. Steffi was a son who wanted to do commodity to flash back her mama. Steffi wanted to recognize her mater's memory in her way. After the show was over, people were clapping loud and Steffi stepped outdoors to get some air. The lights of the megacity were shining brightly against the night sky. And for the first time in a veritably long time, Steffi felt commodity that was nearly like being at peace. Steffi felt this way because the megacity lights and the night sky looked really beautiful together. She said, "I hope you're proud," in a quiet voice. Grief still came to her when it was quiet. This happened in the morning when everything was still. It also happened at night when she was alone before she went to sleep. Occasionally it indeed happened when she was talking to people. There were moments of silence. Grief wasn't as bad as it used to be. It didn't feel like a storm that was going to hurt her. Grief felt like commodity she could handle. She could carry grief with her. It would not break her. Steffi started telling her kiddies stories about her mama. She wanted her children to really know her mama. Her mama was a special person who had a big impact on their family. Steffi wanted her kiddies to suppose of her mama as someone who left a heritage, not just someone they lost. Her mama was a kind and loving woman, and Steffi wanted her kiddies to flash back that. She wanted them to know that her mater's love and influence were still with them indeed, though she wasn't there. Steffi's mama was a woman, and Steffi wanted her kiddies to be strong, like her mama too. Some nights Steffi would sit by the window, look at the ocean. She'd suppose about everything that had happened to her. Steffi had lost a lot of effects in her life. She had lost Musketeers effects she wanted to do in moments that she could no way have again. But Steffi had also gotten stronger. She could see effects easily, and she understood love in a way that she no way had ahead. Steffi had learned a lot about love. Her mama wasn't there. That had changed her life, but it didn't make her give up. Her mater's absence had an effect on her, but she was still strong. She was different because her mama wasn't around. She wasn't defeated by her mater's absence. This experience tutored her commodity important. Love doesn't go down when someone is gone. The love for that person changes into commodity. It becomes a memory that you always flash back. It becomes a reason to keep doing effects. The love becomes a voice inside of you that says, love is what tells you to keep going. Love is what helps you to keep moving forward. Love is what makes you say to yourself, keep going. So Steffi went ahead. Did it. Steffi really did do that thing. With every step forward, every decision she made, every challenge she faced, she carried her mama with her. Not as a shadow of the history, but as a light guiding her future.